maybe a little bit of myself. I spent 18 years in the civil service across different ministries, MTI as a trade negotiator, in PSD as a HR practitioner, and then in a workforce development agency where I have to head a very new startup statutory board. And then previously I was in Ministry of Communications before I become Ministry of Transport today. So it's 18 years all in all in the civil service before joining the labour movement for another 4 years, where I was in charge of employability and employment initiatives of the labour movement. And then I joined the private sector in Keppel for another 3 years, where I was a director in charge of corporate planning and corporate strategy, as well as business development and investments. What did I learn in these 3 very different experiences? In the civil service, it is an organization where legacy, precedence is very important. Systems trumps everything. So it is an organization because it has to deal with so many people and so many members of the public. Every decision, big or small, that you make has consequences later on, because there will be many other people with similar cases, and how do you handle them must have consistency and logic. So systems and institution memory is critically important. So every decision while I was a civil servant, before you make those decisions, you have to look at past files, past cases, and ensure that consistency. And once in a while you review the entire consistency and say it's time for a change, and that's when you change policy, right? So that is civil service. When I went to labour movement, there's very little systems thinking and very little preoccupation with consistency, because the nature of the work is not like that. It's not administering policy, but instead labour movement, a lot is about how you reach out to people, how you touch the ground, understand the problem, and come up with solutions. Even you don't have solution, at least show empathy, lend voice to those problems, so that other people can solve the problem. In that context, human relationship trumps everything. So it's very important in the labour movement that we get to know the elected leaders, elected union leaders well, because they in turn help you touch the ground and understand the concerns of the people and to come up with solutions. And then I go to Keppel. Keppel is a 46-year-old organization. So there are systems, there are institution memory that is important. It is a business, which means you have to be in touch with customers and serve customers. At the same time, work with your suppliers, even sometimes with your competitors that you need to collaborate with. And so human relationship is also important. But the critical ingredient in that kind of organization is your enterprise spirit. Ultimately, nothing happens. You are not prepared to take risk. You are not prepared to measure or estimate what is the reward in return for the risk that you take. So it is about the enterprise spirit, getting things done and delivering the results. So I'm glad I've gone through all 3 experiences with a combination of the need for systems, the need for human relations, and also having an enterprise spirit. So these are valuable lessons. It is worthwhile learning and exposing yourself to as many types of experiences as you can, different kinds of projects, in order to absorb all these lessons. Now it's another new role. I'm back into public service, but no longer as a civil servant, but in a political role. Right now, I'm put on a steep learning curve, and what I'm learning now is really the art of communications. Yeah. So there's another 4th dimension, because ultimately we have a big group of civil servants, very good at their job, very knowledgeable, been around in the ministries for years, a lot of institutional knowledge, and they know what they are doing, what is consistent, what is sound, what is robust. The role of a political leader in a ministry like that is really, a lot is about communication. How do you translate policies, intent, into messages that people will buy in, will be on your side? And if they are not, then you have to communicate back to your organization to say, I think this is not acceptable. Our society is not ready for it. So that two-way communication between the institution and the people, I think you are in the middle as the political leader. And that communication skills is something that I'm learning, and I hope I can get better. I think our life is a long learning journey. We all know that, except sometimes while we know that, we still think that learning happens in schools, working happens at work. But increasingly, maybe working should also happen in school, and learning definitely have to happen in work. And as we take on leadership roles, and for us who are lucky enough to take on a leadership role, you realize the demands are so big. You have so much responsibility for the people who are waiting for your direction, who are seeking your leadership. And there are so many types of leadership skills, and I mentioned it earlier, understanding systems and how it runs and able to maintain systems, having strong human relationship networks, having an enterprise spirit to make things happen, and having great communication skills. And these are just 4 things, and maybe just the tip of the iceberg. If I were to say what ultimately is the most important leadership skill, is the skill to be able to harness the different strengths of people around you. Because no single person or leader is able to do everything, is to be able to be good at everything. And so to overcome that, you must be able to attract good people to work with you and able to leverage on their strength and give them the space, give them the autonomy to help fill up your shortcomings. And that, I think, ultimately is the strength of a leader.